It's time to talk some football. I got to start by my Tigers. You know, an opportunity to be a letdown game after upsetting K-State.
Yeah.
They played in St. Louis at the Dome against the undefeated Memphis Tigers, and they ended up holding on. It was a pretty good Memphis team. I was kind of surprised how good Memphis looked, but Missouri, every time Memphis either took the lead or got close, Missouri seemed to have an answer. And after the win and after the rankings come out for the first time since 2019, Missouri is officially ranked in the AP poll.
How about that? And yeah, it was a good win. That is a good Memphis team. They were undefeated going into that game. And I was afraid, when I started watching the game, that was the night, Saturday night, we had big storms coming through, and I thought, man, they're going to get rained out or something. And then I thought, oh, well, yeah, they're playing in the Dome in St. Louis, which was a little bit weird. You notice it was kind of quiet and things were echoing around in the Dome. Made me miss the old St. Louis Rams who used to play in there, But great win for Mizzou and your favorite coach, Drinkwitz, and stuff like that. So how about that? Missouri is back in it. They're back relevant again.
And just announced the LSU game on the 7th coming up a week from this Saturday, sold out now. So back-to-back home sellouts for Missouri, which hadn't happened in a while. They have one sellout. And so the program is buzzing. You see what's happening on the basketball side. Just landed the 4th overall recruit in the country out of Arkansas. Now considered right now, Missouri's basketball for the class of 24 ranked number 1 in the nation. So a lot of excitement around the University of Missouri. You look at the quarterback, Brady Cook. I love Brady Cook. He's not been a fan favorite the last year and a half, but he's starting to. Currently completing 72% of his passes for over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Listen, he hasn't had a turnover this year, no picks, and it makes 10 consecutive games Brady Cook has not thrown an interception dating back to last year's bowl game. And the last time he's thrown a pick, I don't want to say this, knock on wood, was against Vanderbilt last year, and that 17-14 win. And if you look at right now, as far as QBR and quarterback rating in the SEC, Brady Cook number 2 out of all SEC quarterbacks in efficiency and QBR. Cody Schrader, the Truman State transfer, Division II, walked on, leads the SEC in rushing 4 weeks into the season, which is unbelievable. Hometown kid from St. Louis put on a show in the Dome. All 3 of these guys I'm talking about from St. Louis, Luther Burden, man, what a season he's having. 504 yards, averaging 16 yards a carry. He's 3rd in the SEC in receiving yards, and right now he's being talked about as one of, if not the most prolific players in the entire country. So Missouri's got those weapons. They've got an undefeated start to the season, haven't been 4-0 since 2013, and in that year they went all the way to the SEC championship game in just their 2nd year in the SEC.
Yeah, I remember those days. Those were great days.
Under the direction of who?
Gary Pinkel, Coach Pinkel, your favorite of all time, right?
The best, man.
And one of our best friends. He is just awesome. But yeah, it's great to see Missouri back up there in prominence, kind of like the good old days and some of their better days. And hopefully they can keep it going. Wouldn't that be something if they can go on and win their half of the SEC, maybe win the championship game, maybe play for a national championship? You never know, you know?
Really never know, because if you look at it, they got Vandy this week, LSU at home. If they could beat that LSU team, the real juggernaut on their schedule is going to be Georgia. But you remember they did the Georgia last year.
Almost beat them last year.
And if they beat an undefeated Georgia team in Athens,
yeah,
that would then allow them to have those last 2 games with Florida and Arkansas. And if Missouri were to somehow, I hate to get ahead of myself, but I've already had this thought, get chills thinking about it, pull off a couple of upsets that put them in the conversation to win out and potentially play in the college football playoff. And to even say that's a possibility, heading into week 5 with Elijah Drinkwitz as our coach, starting to give the guy a little slack, because he has played really good teams close. Obviously, he can recruit, and Missouri's starting to shape up as one of the better teams in the SEC this season.
One of the things about being in the SEC, it's the hardest conference in college football by far, but if you win it, that means you're going to have a chance to play for the national championship. So, that's the tough part about being in the SEC and the good part about being in the SEC, and hopefully they can compete.
I ask, really not knowing, but I'm afraid to ask because you're going to think I'm being a smart aleck. How are the Huskers doing?
Huskers, well, they've won 2 in a row, but not very good. I mean, they've beaten pretty small teams, but even for Nebraska now, that's a victory for us.
Good.
We've fallen so far. Even beating bad teams makes us happy now, so,
I ask because I run into so many people that tell me that they've got ties to Nebraska and they're big Red fans, and it always makes me think of you and Mrs. Uncle C, and I'm like, man, you Nebraska fans are all over the place. But All right, so
we haven't won anything in like 2 decades, man. It's been a long, dry spell.
but you have won something.
Yeah,
in the
we
history
do
of
have
your
a bunch of
program.
national champions.
And that's more than Missouri could say up to this point in time. But
Yeah.
we're going to see if that changes. So on to everybody's favorite team in the entire state of Missouri. Not talking about Mizzou, talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. A little shaky through the first 2 weeks. People were wondering, but boy, did they look good Sunday. And it wasn't offensively, Chris.
Yeah.
It was defensively the Chiefs are flexing their muscles.
Yeah, and they're a big defensive guy. Bolton had to go out injured. Hopefully he'll be all right. But yeah, the defense really stepped up. It's hard to tell against the Bears because they're so bad. But it was a really nice win. Mahomes got hurt a little bit, had his ankle rolled up on, but he should be okay. But that's nice. When you get those nice, easy wins, that's a gift in the NFL, and they got a good one last week.
And they dominated. They could have had the shutout if they would have really wanted it looked like. But
Yeah.
what I'm impressed with for the Chiefs is their offense doesn't look the same it has historically. You're seeing different names in there. Mahomes still had 3 touchdowns, and this defense through 3 weeks this season, and I know it's a small sample size, and I know that you had, like you said, the Bears, but the 4th fewest points allowed per game, which is a huge boost for a Chiefs team that over the last 5 or 6 years during this dominant run they've had, it's been the offense that has been their catalyst and has been what's allowed them to be so successful. So if this defense can come around, you know by midseason that Mahomes and the offense start gelling, they start figuring it out. That could be one of the more dangerous Chiefs teams that Andy Reid has had if this defense looks like this.
Yeah, and you know, with Andy Reid running the show, you kind of know the offense is going to be good. Although I think the Chiefs receivers are down this year. I mean, we don't have like standout receivers that have stepped up so far this year, but you know the offense is going to be good. But remember a few years ago, the defense was like the worst defense in the NFL, and they had to make a coaching change, new defensive coordinator. Look at how far he has brought this Chiefs defense to where they won the Super Bowl last year with one of the youngest defenses in the league. And you just threw out some of the stats, what they're doing this year. That's one of their strengths now for the Chiefs is what they're doing on defense. I mean, it is fantastic what this team has done to turn that defense around.
And also, we can say, I agree with that. You can also say that the Kansas City Chiefs are like the most talked about NFL team in the world right now
Yeah.
because of their tight end's girlfriend, Taylor
Oh,
Swift.
man.
It's all I saw the last couple of
Jeez.
weeks. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. You know, it kind of makes me sick. You know, I mean,
That it's Travis and not you.
just show us the football. You know, I don't want to see the stupid girlfriend up in the booth with mama. You know, what is that crap? Just get rid of that. Show us some dang football, man.
The thing is
know?
it's an entertainment business. And when you take a
Jeez.
personality, a star like Taylor Swift, I mean, she's at the same level that Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley were at for this generation. So it's such a big deal. I saw a really funny video that showed a lady, her husband gets home and she's like, hey, look, honey, people are going to know who Travis Kelce is now. Like, he's going to be relevant because,
Yeah.
and the husband is just like fuming, you know, and he's like, don't talk. And she goes, well, now his career is going to be catapulted and he's going to be talked about because he's dating Taylor Swift. And as a football fan, you're like, there's not a better football player in the world. So us football guys are like, man, good for you, Taylor Swift, landing, you know, the best tight end in NFL history. But the world is watching and thinking Travis is really lucky.
Yeah. Hey, I could do without any of a bunch of Hollywood hoes out there, you know. So that's it, you know.
Tell us how you really feel,
That's
Uncle
right.
C. Hey, one thing I want to talk about, the Bears, that you mentioned how bad they were. Do you think that Matt Eberflus is in trouble?
I do. I mean, they keep losing like that. I think even if he's doing a good job getting that team turned around, and I don't know that he is, but you can't lose like that and keep your job very often. I think he's in trouble.
The reason I ask is because he is a Gary Pinkel guy. He played for Coach Pinkel and Coach Saban at Toledo, was an All-American linebacker from 88 to 91, and then was a student assistant and graduate assistant and defensive assistant for Pinkel at Toledo till 2000, all the way till he came from 2001 to 08 with him at Mizzou,
Yeah.
and was a great defensive coordinator. So I know he was a Missouri guy and a Gary Pinkel guy, now a head coach in the NFL, and you're like, man, you want to root for him?
Yeah, you really pull for him.
Yeah.
I kind of hope they can get it turned around. But I'm not sure he's got enough time there. I think it's systemic there. You know, a lot of those teams lose because the whole system is broken. And I think in Chicago, their system is broken.